Good evening and welcome to another episode of From the Backseat Football Podcast. I think we should start with an apology because we are back, but we've been gone for absolutely ages, and that's our fault. We ghosted you, listener, and we're sorry about that. But we are back now, and there's more of us than ever, and we are motivated to deliver good content. So thank you for sticking by us. And we can't promise we won't ghost you again because life does get in the way, but hopefully we won't. But you know, blah blah blah. It's a great day. It's a really great day, actually. On the same weekend that Kevin De Bruyne came back to football, another great return has happened. Hugh is back on the pod. Will he make as big an impact as De Bruyne? We will see. But big things are expected from him, but he's back.
It's true. I've got an assist in me tonight. It's good to be back. Hopefully I can score a 30-yard screamer for a winner, just like our boy KDB. But yeah, it's good to be back.
It's great to have you back. And that is all the Man City chat we're going to do today because collectively we hate Man City. So enjoy that, City fans. You can stop listening now. Also with us is our Tottenham correspondent, Belle. Hello, Belle. Welcome again.
Absolutely honoured to be here. Thanks for having me.
Regular. Wherever there's Spurs chat, she'll be around. And our long-time Chelsea correspondent, Joseph Doherty. Hello, Joe.
Hello. Welcome back. Happy New Year.
Thanks, mate. So we're switching out the format. We've realised that, listener, you don't actually listen beyond 45 minutes, so we're going to match you, and we're not going to go beyond 45 minutes either. So there you go. This is your fault. If you wanted more content, you should have kept listening. But I think the main things we're going to talk about today are the Manchester United game, very interesting game, and what happened with Spurs, a bit on Spurs transfer business, and then the news about Everton and Nottingham Forest. How have Everton broken FFP again so soon after breaking it before? Why are the Premier League determined to send them down? I'm personally invested in that story. And then if we have time, you might stick the knife into Chelsea a little bit because that's always a fun thing we like to do. But yeah, first, let's talk about Manchester United. So Manchester United 2, Spurs 2. In my opinion, I thought it was not that interesting a game, but there are interesting narratives and side stories around it. And I think, weirdly, people are getting too carried away with Spurs being good and Manchester United being bad, because actually it was quite an even 2-2, I thought, on the whole. Spurs are a bit better, but I don't know. Narrative makes things weird. It feels like Man United lost the game and Spurs won the game, even though it's 2-2. That's just my neutral take. I thought it was all right, really. I feel like the main talking points are around the non-scoring strikers all scoring, basically, in Haaland, Richarlison, Rashford, and Timo Werner almost scored, but he did get an assist, so he's back. But Belle, how did you find the game from your perspective?
Well, I've got to say that I did see your message in the group chat during the game saying that you thought it was an amazing game. I think that was before half time.
You literally community noted me.
That was it. My number one note in my notebook. I think it was the first half was good. The second half I got a bit sleepy. I think it was I think we went into it with a lot more confidence because we saw that we had people returning, like Mickey van der Ven was coming back, Romero was back. We hadn't seen those two together since, I think, the Chelsea game, which we don't like speaking about anymore. Mm-hmm. And so I think we had this sort of sense of confidence going into this, that we were just going to completely dominate them. And actually, I felt that we'd become. I think it felt a bit like kind of, what's the word? It felt a bit scrappy. It was really noticeable that Kulusevski wasn't there. There were some highlights, but I think I have to say, like, this is awful to say, but hats off to Man U, because I couldn't believe some of the stats I was hearing. Rashford had not scored at home the entire season until that game. I would
Since
be
May, apparently,
disturbed if I was a United fan by this point. But what I think is impressive is, I think, like, to score against Spurs' actual best back line, and Vicario is a testament to him. I don't know to what on earth is going on there. I didn't really.
Back line was stacked, wasn't it? It was good. I think it's good to see Van der Ven, Romario. Sorry, I don't know Spurs team. I'm a Chelsea fan.
Did you say
R-
Romaro?
Romaro.
Romaro, yeah.
A well-read group, this is it.
That famous Romaro.
He is a
but
proper
you-
busybody. He would.
Well, no, it's difficult, isn't it? Because all we've wanted all this time since November is to see that back four again. And then when we did, I think it looked scrappy. And there was one bit that gave me a heart attack, which is when Udogie hit the post and basically almost scored an goal. And I just thought, this is not what I want to see. But no, I enjoyed it. And I think what's really good is to see Richarlison on form. This is now 6 and 6, I think. So I think it shows that we've really got like a lot of faith in him, like basically stepping in to be like our main striker. And the fact that we have got Timo Werner on loan kind of shows we're backing Richarlison more, because we haven't committed to actually buying a striker. And I actually might quit the club if Timo Werner is.
It's a bit harsh, isn't it?
Any
It's a
more
bit
on him?
harsh on Timo Werner. Not a striker. He's not a real striker.
You know,
What are you talking
it was
about,
all a
mate?
joke when everyone was saying, "Oh, we're going to get Timo Werner." I thought they're just taking the piss.
Turbo Timo. Go on. You love Turbo Timo. He looks
Tell
good
me
in white.
something good about him too.
Yeah, what's all this Timo slander? I thought he played really well yesterday.
Did you?
Did
Didn't
you?
he
How many
miss?
times did he hit it up into the sky to hit the moon?
Well,
First
look,
shot was
considering
like
he's been
that.
there less than a week, I think he's done pretty well to get an assist. That's one more assist than Anthony all season, right?
That's a very low bar, but that is, statistically accurate.
It is a low bar, I'll admit. I was actually impressed. I actually think Timo's going to be a great signing for them. I think he's got... Oh,
Couldn't handle it.
couldn't handle the talk about Timo.
Is that it? How dare you speak
Is that
badly of
enough?
Timo Werner? That was a protest. Welcome back, Joe. Had a little soul.
Just a little one. Just a little one.
So, wait until I talk about Kai Havertz, mate. You're going to be absolutely raging.
Oh, mate. I'm glad you're enjoying him, mate. What's he? 1 goal this season so far, and how many games? Well done. Well done. 63
Mate.
million. Thanks for that.
So
Take.
rude.
Yeah. And
So
Turbo Timo,
rude.
first assist. Good on him. He looks good in white. He's shit like the rest of the squad.
Yeah, he's
What is,
he's very fast. I think that's his main thing. He's very fast and he's offside a lot, but that is what Spurs like. They like forwards who try and make runs in behind constantly and are fast, basically. And Ange is just trolling us. He's basically said, I can make him score goals. I'm a better manager than any of you lot. I can do it. I've done it with Richarlison. I can do it with Timo. I think that's what's going on here.
I actually was afraid of that when this happened. I thought Ange, if he's going to score goals, he's going to score goals in Ange's team. This is, without a doubt, that forward thinking, counter-attack, progressive passing kind of team where you can get in behind, run through, and Timo, he'll have 3 or 4 chances per game. He'll miss most of them, but if you give him enough, he can do it. He gets behind, and the assist yesterday. I mean, give it to him. He does get 1 assist more than Anthony in 16 games, but I did see a few of those shots. They did look a bit raspy, Bell. I'm sorry.
It does kind of make me wonder, though, if they were. It happened the first time it happened. I was like, okay. Second time, okay. But I think I saw it 4 times. But no, it does make me wonder, though, that if basically he's just there to pad out the bench when everyone else is on form, is bringing him on with 10 minutes at the end of a game going to give him enough time to get through as many attempts as he can before I think he needs to be clinical.
I think you may have got the wrong guy if that's what you're looking for. But I agree. It's low risk. Like, pad it out while Son's gone. I think that's basically it. Just literally just cover for Son while Son's away. Because it's a loan. And there's actually not that many good strikers. Look how many clubs need a striker. Man United need a striker. Arsenal need a striker. Chelsea need a striker. Everyone needs a striker. There are no strikers. So Timo Werner, as daft as it sounds, is probably in the top 30 best strikers in world football still.
He's also very direct in the same way that Son is, and like Brennan Johnson on the right, just sprinting in. I think he fits the style of play really, really well. And I think I think at Chelsea it got a bit muddled. No offence, Joe. I'm not going to try and slander them too much, but I don't think he was utilised, just like Kai Havertz, wasn't utilised to his best at Chelsea. And now that they've both moved to North London, we're going to see them both flourish, is what I think.
Still waiting for that to happen, but...
My question would
Mate,
be on
don't
that.
let me pull the stats out, mate. I will, and I will defend him staunchly.
Here's my question for you. How many Arsenal players have scored more goals than Richarlison this season in the Premier League?
You know what? My housemate asked me that, and I didn't want to answer, so I'm going to give you the same answer, which is I'm not going to answer.
That's a 0. Nobody. Starboy, Gabriel Martinelli, Gabriel Jesus. No one. Nobody.
Shots at the house now,
Yeah,
mate.
didn't like that. You know what? I'm not going to come back now for 3 months.
Right.
If I speak, these are only facts.
I do have a question for you, Belle, though. Like, I don't know so much about the Spurs Youth Academy, but if you're talking about bringing Timo on for like the last 10 minutes of games to pad it out, do you not have any youth strikers that come through? And I can answer my own question because actually we sold a very promising looking youth striker to you, Bell, and he's scoring a lot of goals in the under-18s. So I just wonder if this is stopping a progressive path of youth through the Tottenham squad.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, isn't it? Because our under-21s are the best record of women's, men's, of any age group or like any part of the club. And I think it's interesting because we have recently seen on the bench maybe 2 maximum of the youth squad on our bench, but we don't play them. I think the problem is basically, I think the way that Ange likes to play is that he will normally make a substitution at make his subs at 60 minutes. It's basically a game of 2. It's like there's like 2 lineups to each game, and he makes all the subs really early on, which I find really stressful because most of the games exceed much further than like 95 minutes. So you're playing a lot of football without your starting lineup. And so I think only twice have I seen anyone from like maybe Dorrington, maybe Donnelly come on. And that's
a bit of a tangent.
Maybe I can
I was just going to say, it's a bit of a tangent. Go on then.
Go on. You love the stats, Jack. Come on. We need more stats
Go on, hit
on the
me.
show. All right. So just because I've got a bit of passion here, I didn't really want this kid to leave, but Jude Soonsup Bell, difficult name. That's why I didn't remember it. But another Jude, that's number 1. Judes do well in this game.
It's a good sign.
This guy for Tottenham's under 21 in the PL2. He's got 7 goals, 4 assists in 10 games. And at the Football League, he's got 2 goals in 3 games. That's quality, right?
Yeah, it's still unders though, but that is pretty good as a record.
Why are we not starting him? Yeah, I mean, why is he not on the bench? I think in a way it was almost, I think people have been arguing that coming up to January, we wanted to make the bench look as absolutely bleak as humanly possible so that there might be some chance of business.
It's a classic tactic. Mourinho loves that tactic where he's like, I've only got 4 players on the bench and they're all goalies. What can I do?
Yeah, well, I think that's what's been going on. I don't know. I think Spurs are actually known for putting absolutely for there being such a stint, for there not being like that room for development. There's not that kind of ladder up. I think they just basically sell them the second that they like come of age. We don't have a good academy, I don't think.
It's a well-trodden path, to be fair. It's very on trend to get rid of your prospects. Let's talk about other players who have left Spurs, though. Let's not talk about prospects. Let's talk about failed prospects, like Eric Dyer. Very bad at football, almost famously bad at football. On this pod, I think we've only been negative about him, and he has made us all look like mugs because he has now left and gone to join Bayern Munich permanently. It's not even a loan. I thought it was a loan. It's permanent, like 3 mil. How has he fallen upwards, Bell? So, or anyone, please explain to me, to the listener, how it's possible that Eric Dyer can play for Bayern Munich in 2024. I have one theory, which I think is the prevailing theory, that on Football Manager, sometimes when you sign a really good player, they say, can you sign someone to help me settle in? And you say, yeah, no worries. And so Eric Dyer is that guy to share the bunk bed with Harry Kane, to just speak English to him and just,
Doesn't that
keep
say
him
more
company.
about Harry that he would choose Eric Dyer of all people? Of all people, because also I'm not going to go too far into this, but I do know a lot about all of their personal lives, which social groups they hang out with, whose wives are friends with whose kids go to school with each other. And Eric,
that in itself, that's a different episode, I reckon. Just
that's
the
a
secret
good one.
life of Eric Dyer.
Yeah.
What's he really up to?
I could tell you what he's up
Tottenham
to.
social
There was one
circles.
point which I really respected, actually, where this was, I think, in the 2018-19 season, where it came out that he'd enrolled at university to study sociology because he didn't think he was going to have a future in football. And he'd already been playing for Spurs for like 5 years at this point, like starting every game. But he was still like, I need a backup. But that's how little he believed in himself.
Because he's terrible at football. He's a realist.
No, I think in terms of the move to Bayern, like I cannot say how impressed I am. I think everyone's saying it, he's obviously got the best agent in the world. I think there must have been like some kind of agreement with Harry. I think they probably he just wanted like a golf buddy. But I'm interested to see if he actually starts, like what he's going to be doing there. I want him to be happy. I don't hate him. Although I do have strong opinions about literally everyone, but
it's just apathy. He's just rubbish. I think his Spurs legacy is going into the stands and confronting someone who started trying to argue with his dad or something. That's how I remember him mainly. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah.
Bayern take a few of these misfits though, don't they? Think about Choupo-Moting. He joined Bayern from fucking.
He was good though for them, wasn't he? He still is.
He was very good, and so Dyer might be decent, but.
Well, then actually, how's Bayern? Like, is their reputation in the Bundesliga as like, is it in my mind? So I don't really watch any Bundesliga. Is Bayern basically like the Man United of Germany, where they have all of the prestige but not actually on form as we think they would be?
Nah,
they're always on form.
They won it basically every year for I think they won 10 in a row, I believe, or something ridiculous like that. They might not win it this year because Leverkusen are unbeaten, but they probably will in the end.
They probably will.
That would mean that the Harry Kane curse continues to an absolute. And it's crazy, isn't it? He could break Lewandowski's scoring record, and they might not win the league for the first time in 12 years, which would be the most Harry Kane thing. That'd be quite
glorious, wouldn't it?
I bet Tottenham will win like the FA Cup this year to top it all off, or something like that.
I'm going to quote you on that.
Call me Mystic Mac if it comes true. There's a high possibility.
Well, we've got to get past City first, but then we are playing at home, so we might actually manage it.
Yeah, you always bang City at home.
Yeah, always.
I actually can't wait. Yeah. No, I think the plan, as I think I said on the last one, I think very briefly, the plan is basically Harry wins the Champions League, Spurs win something, then Harry comes back so that he can win a Premier League with his club. Okay. Then we can win the league with Harry.
So here's the real question though, Belle. Does Eric Dyer come back with Harry in this plan? Because how's he going to settle? How's he going to settle back in London if he doesn't have his mate?
And will not let Eric Dyer even back in the country. He would he cannot stand him.
Yeah, that interview was savage actually. It's just like, does this change your plans for Eric Dyer? No, mate. He's got to go.
He would literally rather have no one than have him there.
He's so rude. All right. Quickly before we take a quick break, can anyone on the pod tell us anything about Dragusin? From what I've read, you've somehow mugged off Bayern Munich by sending them Eric Dyer, and then mugged them off again by buying the guy that they wanted to buy, forcing them to get Eric Dyer. So it's a double win over Bayern. But who is Dragusin? Is he good? He seems like generic. Got to be careful. Generic Eastern European warrior. That's his vibe. He's got a ponytail.
Because of the hair.
Yeah, that's what I'm going with. And also because his name is Dragusin, immediately I'm like, well, he's just a hard bastard, isn't he? Like, that's his vibe.
I'm really excited about him because I think he has the potential to kind of offset some of the some of the traits that we've already got in the likes of Romero and Mickey, because he's primarily like a left centre back, but he can play it across all those positions. And he apparently, if this is true, I am impressed. He has only been booked once in the whole of last season, which we desperately need because we've been booked more than pretty much everyone. So that's like
that's actually cracking for you guys with Romero as well. That is cracking. If you can get someone who's pretty disciplined in defence, that'd be really nice.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say he's going to be a success, annoyingly, because if you look at all their transfers from Serie A recently, I can't think of a flop. Udigi is really, really good. Vicario is better than David Raya, which fucking pisses me off every time I see it. They've signed someone else from there as well, haven't they? I think Saar came from Serie A as well.
Bentancur,
yeah, he did.
Kulusevski.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And we used to have, but he's gone now, but the most underrated, perfect person, Galini. Who had...
Oh no, he was trash. He was trash.
He was this.
He was so trash. He was just Dele Alli's like best mate. And
then he honestly was. But he basically managed to get permission to film a music video of him rapping on top of the golden cockerel on top of the stadium. And the song was Champions League, My Champion's Dream. But we never made it to the Champions League, and he never got to play in the Champions League.
Oh, that is so sad. That's a sad legacy.
I'm actually going to put that in the chat now, so you guys can watch it.
I literally have no idea who this person is. This will be the only reference point. Just this sad man on top of the Spurs stadium singing about the Champions League.
Yeah. But I think back to Jackson, I think he's going to be great. I think. I guess I just have this, I need to get used to the idea that there actually may be people on the bench, because I just keep sort of flapping and panicking that I don't understand how everyone is going to be, like, how is this going to line up? Who's going to play with who? And then I realise that actually most teams do have more than just one option for each position. Yeah. So it's just about being patient, I guess.
It's best practice. You're supposed to have 2 good players for every position, ideally. Arsenal, the innovators there, because they got 2 goalies, which is mind-boggling. But yeah, I think that's a good time to take a break. Unless I know you want to talk about more Spurs, but we have to move on, Belle, I'm afraid. Got a whole section though. So when we're back, we'll talk about FFP and maybe about Chelsea.
Amazing.
Welcome back from the Backseat Football Podcast. We are now heading over to St James's Park, where the return of Kevin De Bruyne for Man City is sending shockwaves across the league. Where do we start with this one? It was all looking so promising for Newcastle, wasn't it? 2-1 up, played against one of the best teams in Europe. I was like so happy. I was like, they're going to drop points again.
I dared to believe.
Out of this title race, so I dared to believe. And then KDB looking quite lean, coming off the bench with a new trim. Changed the game completely. An assist and a goal, or a goal and assist, to put it in the right order, changed everything. A 3-2 win at St James's Park. They're going to win the league, guys. They're going to win the league again.
Yeah. He's actually so good at football. It's actually annoying, because I don't even know what's better, his goal or his assist, because they're both like immaculate. And he's talking about his goal, and he was like, yeah, I know that he's trying to make himself big, so I just put it through his legs. And you're like, it's outrageous to even say something like that, you know? And then like his assist for Oscar Bob, it's just like, it's ridiculous. There's no margin for error in any way. The pace, the direction, like it's mental. He's just doing that as he's half fit as well. This is like a half fit KDB. He's pissed off. He's pissed off that he missed half the campaign for sure.
Listeners, get your fantasy football going. KDB, get him in there. 100%. While Haaland is away, KDB will play. Sorted.
That is wise advice.
Yeah, that's so nice though. Like, you guys are all at the top of the league. You're worrying about the league shaking. Just nice, sitting just nicely below Brighton, chilling out by the seaside. It's so nice this year that we just don't have to worry about, who's going to win the Premier League and all that anymore.
It's just a bit too stressful, isn't it? You just thought,
I like this.
We don't want to be involved. You know what? For our mental health, we're going to have a couple of seasons out. Yeah,
I'll open that question to the room. Who do you actually think is going to win the league this year?
Liverpool's going to win the league, mate. Boom and bust seasons. We busted last season. We're going to win this year.
Liverpool.
You think Liverpool?
I thought it was going to be Spurs, but...
I thought it was going to be Arsenal, but no, it's not looking good. What about you, Joe?
I think Arsenal.
What?
No, I reckon.
I like that.
I reckon probably Liverpool. To be honest, I
Whoa.
mean, Jack. I mean, you mentioned earlier. I mean, Arsenal just don't have the goals in them this season.
Yeah, they don't. They have no goals.
We don't. I'll tell you what, Arteta has been running our team into the ground. I read the stats that Saka has played like the last 100 Premier League games consecutively. And if you add all the England games into that as well, he's doing a Wayne Rooney. He's actually 28 in football years. The amount of
I was thinking that. By 25, he could be done. He could be burnt out at 25 like Michael Owen.
He is looking ineffective and it makes me very, very sad, actually.
So what's the answer? Who would you sign?
Ivan Toney for 100 mil. Makes perfect sense.
It's not going to happen.
FFP. FFP, deal with that later, you know.
Doesn't matter.
It's just 10 points in 2 years. At least you know what you're getting into now.
The reality is there's no striker that I think can walk it unless we sign Osimhen for 150 mil, which is...
Yeah.
There is no...
That's the biggest mate. Get off.
Yeah, you spent your money on Caicedo.
Oh, mate, we still got some bank for Evan Ferguson. Come on, Brian, give us.
Oh, God.
Talk about mate. You've got the hot
Daddy
rod Nico Jackson, mate.
Mate,
killer in front of goal.
Oh, Daddy Todd is all over it, mate. Evan Ferguson, 200 million. Let's go. We've got to sell Conor Gallagher, Levi Colwill. We've got to sell.
Rhys James, get rid of him as well.
To be fair, Rhys James, hot take, you should get rid of Rhys James. That guy misses 80% of the season.
Oh, mate, we're swapping for Buenanotte. Easy.
His legs, his hamstrings are made of Weetabix. Like, he literally spends 20 minutes on the pitch and he's off for 3 months. It's crazy.
Oh, poor lad.
He's too chunky.
The City game was good though, wasn't it?
No. Let's just slander Chelsea, all right? Let's just slander Chelsea, all right? We're done with City. They're going to win the league. It's all done. It doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
But Chelsea. Now, I'm interested to hear your thoughts, Joe, because I remember when we went out for Jack's partner's birthday back in the summer when pre-season was going on, we were waxing lyrical about Mudryk and Nicholas Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
6 months later, how are we feeling?
Yeah.
I feel relaxed, It's nice, as I said. Nice place in the table. I got to be honest, I was fucking gutted about Middlesbrough. That was the shittest game ever to watch. We had like nothing. We were like a blunt pencil. We didn't even have the like little nib. It was like the pencil had been cut in half by a pair of scissors. Couldn't get shit out of it. It was so insanely annoying. But I have been to a sauna today and I've done a meditation therapy and I'm feeling good. And now 7th looks just fine.
How are you feeling about Poch?
Yeah, he's all right. Poch is. I think if you give him some time, I mean, we got a load of young players. We pushed them all together. We haven't got any real senior leaders in the squad apart from Thiago, and he's like senior. Then you've got to give him time. And Poch, I think, is the best person to deliver that. Because if you look at the squads, you wouldn't say anyone looks really terrible. Like, they all look fairly average to 6 or 7 out of 10s. Malo Gusto looks pretty good. Caicedo's been doing okay. Enzo's looking better. Mudryk has bright spells occasionally.
You lowered your bar quite considerably.
Caicedo's doing okay. He's doing okay. 115 mil, he's doing okay. You cannot tell me that no. I'm not having it.
Give it time, mate. Trust the process.
Billy Gilmore is playing better at Brighton than Caicedo is.
I didn't want to let him go, so there's.
You're going to need another round in the sauna, mate. The troll's coming out.
I didn't want to let him go. I didn't want to. Livramento. I didn't want to let Livramento go. Solanke, to be fair, I didn't think much of him, but he's doing pretty good. Just don't. Seventh is good.
Yeah. All right.
You guys are sitting ninth right now.
But I know, but like we were seventh before.
Ninth is also good. It doesn't really matter. Really.
I'm just angry because we've lost our last 3 games. Belle, can I ask you, what do you think about Poch at Chelsea? How do you feel about
that? Okay, obviously when the rumours started circulating it was going to happen, I didn't believe it. I thought it was all a lie. Then I blocked everyone I knew who supported Chelsea for like the entirety of summer. Especially because we were absolutely dying for Poch to come back. Like, it was all we could ever talk about. It's what I dreamt about every night. It was absolutely disgusting that he went to Chelsea. So obviously it was just like the worst possible everything. But because he's not doing well, I feel like I've shed all of this anger and I just feel
It's nice.
Yeah, I mean,
got big Ange now, you know. Like, he just puts his arm around his shoulder and he's like, "Don't look back. Big Ange has got you now, mate." And you're like, "Yes, thank you."
I'm sorry. How do you classify well?
He's doing worse than Graham Potter. He got sacked.
No, as in comparatively,
he's not doing very well.
He was doing, when he started at Spurs, he was doing better than he is starting with you.
Yeah.
Yes.
To be honest there.
Yes. You can't
arguably a worse team in terms of transfer value as well.
You can't say that this is the vision. You can't say that this is the vision to be ninth after 1 billion and just be average. That's not.
We were managed by Lampard before Poch took over. It's literally like letting an amateur take over your club and then run the players' fitness into the fucking ground, and then you have Poch come in to say, "Here you go, fix everything." I mean, who did you have before Poch? Was it Harry? There we go. Top quality geezer. He wasn't having any shit. You know, he was good.
No, the thing is, Poch obviously knew he had the poison chalice here because everything that was going on was so like turbulent at Chelsea, and I think the problem is, I think because he was at PSG and I think when he came to Spurs, he had everything to prove because he'd just been at Southampton and it was like, this was the biggest step up he was ever going to have. Then he went to PSG and I think did better than we thought he was going to do there. And we were all kind of surprised that he actually managed himself to handle that, because I think that's probably the most toxic place you could manage. And then Chelsea, I think for him, his incentives probably were, I mean, first of all, obviously, like, he has his kids based in London. He wanted to be in the Premier League. He wanted to be in London specifically. If he'd gone to Arsenal, someone would have put a hit on him. Like, it would have probably been me. And then, like, and obviously Chelsea was like screaming for a complete like do-over. But I think once again, he's facing the same problems he was towards the end at Spurs, where he's just like up against a kind of impossible. He's got an impossible task. He's got I don't know if he's got a limited budget. I don't know what's going on there, but I think it's going to be a very long project for him. And I've seen he's already lost his shit in his like post-match stuff. So I don't think he's got the same patience and like sense of self that he did when he was with us. So he's already wound up. I don't see him lasting another. Ooh, if you want to put bets on this.
Yeah, what do we reckon? Ooh. How long's Poch got?
Well, in November, me and the girls were saying he'd be gone by February, but I now think like end of the season.
End of the season. Oh, there you go.
So if he does leave, that'll be 4 managers and 2 seasons for Chelsea, which actually is pretty
Same as Spurs.
half of the course for Chelsea, actually. But
Pretty normal.
where does the buck
right?
stop, Joe? How do we feel about businessman of the decade, Todd Bowley? You were very,
Okay.
very complimentary about Clear Lake Capital, talking about the investment into the stadium.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
how are we feeling right now?
Just to clarify and finalise on that last point, if any of us went to manage PSG, I think we would lose the love of football. It is, as you say, one of the most toxic places to manage. You don't really have that much power as a manager. The director has more power than you, as he should. The players have more power than you. And Mbappe owns the club, basically, by now.
Well, he is the sporting director as well, so he is his own boss now as well. He's your boss and your subordinate.
And Neymar was there at the time as well, which just sounds awful. Just really awful to manage Neymar. Oh, sorry, mate, I'm injured. I've got a birthday party to go to. Fuck off. Like, that would be... Oh, my God. Anyway, I digress. Anyway, so yeah, I could see why it may be a bit of a challenge for him to come back into it, and I think he's doing quite well. On Daddy Todd, he's the big boss, right? He's got the money. He's happy to give it to us. It's now up to us to actually channel that money through some good sporting directors to allow us to buy players.
There's like 2 sporting directors, maybe 3.
Paul Winstanley from Brighton, Lawrence Stewart, and one more. What is an owner's job? An owner's job is to give you the platform to be able to buy good players and to have good facilities, right? That's their job. So
Okay. So my question is, where is it going wrong? Because from the outset, we spent loads of money, bought some amazing players. Like Fernandes is a great player. There's no denying that, and I think Caicedo is a great player too. So, like, what part of it isn't working? That's what I don't get with Chelsea. Is it deeper than just the structure and organisation? Is it like the feeling around the club? Because it is pretty toxic at Stamford Bridge these days, isn't it?
I'd say time and squad leadership. Time for them to gel, leaders in the squad to be able to mould and to help move things on in the pitch. Because I've got no doubts that Poch is giving them the right instructions. When you look at the amount of goals that we score after half time, when the Poch has given his instructions back to the squad. But yeah, I mean, the one thing that did frustrate the hell out of me though is that in the last match that we just played, we were advertising Todd Bowley's movie.
Oh yeah, I saw this.
In the stadium.
Wasn't it some guy brushing his teeth and like
the Five Guys? Argyle is the movie. You're just like, what the fuck is going on here?
That film was so bad.
Oh dear.
It's got Dua Lipa in.
Amazon must be kicking themselves that they didn't do an all or nothing about Chelsea these last 2 seasons, because it just writes itself. It just ends in Argyle. That's a final episode. It's just a screening of Argyle.
Before you guys cut into the... Sorry, Doug, you go ahead first. I've got a long rant.
I do actually think if you give Poch a chance and you just have some stability, I think the main thing is that you just haven't had any stability at all. There's been no consistency at all with management and leadership, as you said. So I think it's just going to take a lot of time. I just don't know if the board they seem to be so rattled. It's the same at Spurs. Like, I can't even imagine having one manager for a whole season. So
thank you, Belle. Spurs and Chelsea hand in hand.
Can you believe it?
Who would have thought?
But before you guys go on to the financial fair play, which I know you're going to touch on, given that we're talking about Everton and Forest in the near future, I'm going to make a blanket statement. And then Chelsea's out of the picture. We don't worry about Chelsea anymore.
Okay.
We made 300 million worth of profit on players in the last window, so maybe just under 300 million. We have amortized the players over a long period of time, which means that the cost of those players are taken year by year over those periods of the contract. So therefore, the amount that we technically spent is less. So as long as we don't show significant losses in more than 3 years in a row, we're safe from financial fair play. And we've done pretty well recently before this period on selling players to not show those losses. For example, Hazard to Real Madrid for 150 million. That's pretty good. I think that was within the last 3 years. But even if not, this year we haven't gone past the threshold. And I'm going to say all of this from reading things, and then at some point the judges are going to bring down their hammer. And if that's what happens, then I've only got my educated guess to say that it seems like we're safe.
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
The caveat with that argument is, A, you're hamstrung now for the next 8 years because you've amortised all those contracts, right? So there's going to be less money in the bank, but also Todd was banking on getting Champions League money, which is just not going to happen. So the revenue coming in is going to diminish. And you reference Eden Hazard, but tell me who in your squad is going to sell for 100 mil next summer?
We don't want
Conor
to sell
Gallagher.
anyone.
Conor Gallagher.
No,
You spent so much at the start, right? But no one's going to sign the players that you signed them for at that price. There's no resale.
We don't need to, I don't think. I mean, I think,
who's going to buy Nico Jackson for 50 mil? Not me.
No, you bought Kai Havertz for 63, so come on.
It's true. I'm going to take that L because that's true. And I back Kai. He looks great in red, and I still believe he's going to come good. But
by the way,
it's true. You did
Mason Mount we sold for 65 million to Man United, so come on. That's we still got some
on the fall of Mason Mount because that's so sad. Mason Mount seems like such a nice guy.
He does.
It is mad, isn't it? Mason Mount's gone. Havertz is at Arsenal. Werner's at Spurs. It's just like Chelsea fans' nightmare. When you think that was a front three for that Champions League final, like 4 seasons ago.
It's
very odd. You think this is the core of our team. Then Chelsea look great. None of them are very good, in my opinion. If Mason Mount enjoyed Liverpool, I'd have a different opinion.
Of course.
In true from the backseat football fashion, that was our coverage of Man City versus Newcastle.
Now moving on. To segue perfectly. Speaking of Man City, financial fair play. Everton have been found guilty again. How is that fair, I hear you ask? I have done some reading because I think it is really unfair. And Nottingham Forest has also been found guilty, which I think everyone kind of suspected because they bought 35 players in, 6 months? But basically, to put some context, Premier League clubs are permitted to lose a maximum of 35 mil season over 3 years, so 105 million across a 3-year period. If they exceed that, they will get slapped with FFP. So what did Everton do? They, over COVID, racked up a whopping 300-something million in losses and then tried to blame it on the stadium and bad economic conditions. Some of it we can say because they had a Russian owner and his assets got frozen, it's kind of okay, but they basically tried to just write it all off as COVID losses and build a stadium on the sly and just write it off. So they got hit with that. That was their first 10-point deduction. But basically, the second one is about last summer, which I find very disturbing. They somehow managed to make another loss last summer that exceeded the 35 mil threshold. And I guess it's a 3-season rolling thing. So every summer you could get penalised because you've made a loss over 35 mil the previous 2 summers. Do you see what I mean? So it's like a rolling problem. So they sold Richarlison and Gordon last summer, from what I remember, for they sold them in the same season for over 100 mil, and yet somehow still fucks it. So God knows how much money they're actually hemorrhaging with this stadium problem, but potentially we could see Everton just start the season at -10 every season for the foreseeable future. Forest, they sold Brennan Johnson to Spurs to try and cover up their FFP, but they did it 2 days too late, and that's really it. It's very cut and dry. They missed the deadline, and they got more money for him than what they would have got because Spurs knew they had an FFP thing. So, yeah, they fucked it, basically, from their own silliness. But yeah.
Is there a sliding scale on the charges depending on how severe the breach is? So
I think it's unprecedented, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's all new territory. Everton's the first one to get fined, and now the second one as well to get fined potentially as well. The real question is, how many points can Everton lose and still stay up?
I think
Dicey
another
boy,
10.
come on. Yeah, another 10. Easy.
I'm not
I don't
joking.
know.
I'd confidently say on the pod, if he gets another 10-point ban, he'll still stay up. He's the
Do you
GOAT.
know what?
And if
How many
man
points are
of
on
the
now? I'm
season,
gonna
you're
check.
looking at PFA manager of the season if he keeps Everton up. Because remember what you said, Joe, earlier? Frank Lampard, terrible manager. Guess who came at Everton before Dyche?
Dicey.
He picked up the shittest team in the shittest condition, and if he rides out a 20-point loss and keeps them up, he is the GOAT. He's the best manager in the league.
Everton are so hilarious, actually, because it's like having a bricklayer try and kind of pay off a supermodel to be his girlfriend. Like, think about 60-year-old Bill, who doesn't have the money to do it, but he's going to start like having a little trophy wife who he's paying so much money for. That is now. Stay with me. That is Everton and Carlo Ancelotti. They're literally they said, "Come on, Carlo, come to our club.
That's true.
We'll treat you nice. We'll give you all the money. Go and spunk it up the wall." And then suddenly they realise they're in massive debt, and Carlo leaves them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I
Terrible
wonder
sight,
if Carlo
isn't it?
knew it was coming, maybe. Maybe he knew something we didn't at the time. It was also
don't
Real
know.
Madrid. So
Yeah.
Carlo
When you get the
just
Real
wanted
Madrid
to,
call
like-
up.
It was Real Madrid.
It was.
You know what? With Everton, I noticed. Remember when Rafa took over? That fateful
Mhm.
season. And they bought Damari Gray for like 2.5 mil, and that was that.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, oh, they're in trouble.
Yeah.
They're in trouble if that's all they're spending. But it's a worry, right? Everton have never been relegated from the top division.
Well,
throughout
Ain't
the
Everton.
going to
whole
start
time.
now, mate. Ain't
They're
going to
the
start
only
now with
team.
Dyche in charge. I'll tell you that.
I do feel like the Premier League would be less for be a lesser product for Everton going down and being replaced by someone like, no offense, Luton, but Luton. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed
Yeah.
Luton this season.
Oh, well, I've offended
but-
everyone in this pod.
It's the novelty though, Bell. You wouldn't want to play Luton every season, would you? Like, name me 4 Luton players. Come on.
Morris,
Mhm.
and that's it.
There you go.
Everton,
There's
right?
history. There's a history. Like, Carlo Ancelotti was there. James Rodriguez was there. They were top of the league like 4 seasons ago. It's mental. There's a lot to work with.
But then I think I think that in the dream world, everyone gets done for financial fair play, and then all of the league gets completely refreshed, and then we see the likes of Ipswich and everyone. They're all in there creating their own histories, and then this is the future that we can look for, where it's not just the same 6 clubs. I say that as one supporting one of those clubs, but no, I would like to see. I'd like to see it all just get turned on its head. But what would piss me off is that if it is just Everton being the scapegoat.
Seems like it. What
That
I
would
would
be-
say, everyone knows I don't really like Man City, and everyone knows they've got 115 charges. The reason that Everton have been done is because Everton's is so obvious. Man City is very complicated because they've been trying to hide it the entire time. They purposely create a shroud of mystery, like a legal shroud. Everton just went, yeah, we made loads of losses, but it's a stadium, innit? So COVID, like, couldn't fill it, whatever. And that's it. They just tried to write it off. And so it's very obvious why they've been fined, because they didn't think it was wrong and it was really, really not okay. Man City know it's wrong, but they won't let you look at the books, you know? It's all very secretive.
Then Forest, who knows what's happening with Forest? They just how you think that like Everton are being obvious? I mean, Forest, come on.
Yeah, can't have any complaints. I think
last summer was
mental.
like unbelievable, wasn't it? Every day they were buying a new player.
Yeah,
they didn't even need
One noticeable for us is they
insane.
borrowed Andre Santos from us, and I thought, oh, that's a good signing, you know, for a club like Forest. And then they went and bought like another 2 midfielders for 20 million. It's just like, what is going on here? How is this possible? But
yeah, I remember that they had no left back, or they had one left back. Then they bought Harry Toffolo, and I was like, oh, I think I know that guy. He's pretty championship level, but I like it. Then they bought Renan Lodi, and I was like, oh, Jesus, poor Harry Toffolo. Like, he's literally just come in, and he's immediately not going to play. And then I'm sure they bought another left back as well, like in January, and I was just like, fuck me. This is literally like a video game where you're like, he is available, and he is a bit better, so I could do it. What could go wrong? So I have no sympathy for Nottingham Forest, and I think of the two, they're more likely to go down if they get a points deduction.
I feel that. If they get
Yeah, and I
10
don't
points,
see
then-
Nuno able to carry that like Daichi would. So
Nah.
I think he would just crumble and run, as we've seen many times before.
Bell's not forgotten all those turgid
Bell's
1-0
not-
losses under Nuno.
I miss Nuno's Tottenham. They were a
Do
much
you?
better Tottenham to watch for me, personally.
Yeah.
What
I
then?
miss it
Current
very much.
Tottenham.
Yeah, current Tottenham scares me. I remember Conte's Tottenham was one of my favourite Tottenhams. Just an absolute basket case of a club. It was so good.
Conte's Tottenham still keeps me up at night. I feel like it was like a prophecy that moment where Tuchel and Conte went to shake hands and they had that like insanely aggressive moment was the actual physical exchange of Harry Kane to Bayern Munich that was just coming like 18 months later. But no, that was a dark time.
Oh, you got the
And
crystal ball out
Stellini
today,
was a
bro.
dark time.
Stellini. Oh,
Stellini.
Conte's news
Who?
conferences. Oh, it was such
Oh my
a good
god, yeah.
time.
I forgot about that guy. I
Oh,
remember when
yeah.
people were really excited about him because he won like 2 games in a row and they were like, well, he's got to get the job. 100% record. Or like, didn't he beat City or something?
Well, we always
Something
beat
quite
City. That's
impressive.
not really the
Yeah.
problem. I feel like the problem is actually every single other thing. But no, Stellini was like, yeah, 100% win record because he played one game. So we'd managed us for one game. But yeah, we were all excited. We wrote songs about him, blah, blah, blah. And then it was the Newcastle game, which is probably my favourite Spurs memory ever, where I think we conceded 5 goals in under 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
That was the hangover for my
yeah.
birthday party, so I was in a really good place, like really just a bit there. And then it was back to Ryan Mason, who has stepped in not once but twice as like a kind of our interim manager through all of this.
Do you think
And
he'd
I
come back
actually
a
thought
third
he would
time?
end up going to Bayern on coaching staff. What you
Is Ryan Mason still at Tottenham? Is he still part of the coaching
he will
setup?
never leave.
Okay, cool. That's reassuring at least. Like there's always him just there, just in case things get too hectic. He's like, it's all right. Come here, I've got you. He's like, do you remember at Chelsea there was like Avram Grant or like Gus Hiddink? They'd always just like
Gus
be
Hiddink.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah, just like shepherding him in for 6
legend,
months when things were getting a bit shaky. Be like, right, it's not gone well. Gus, do you mind? And he's like, I'm not doing anything.
He won a
Absolute
double
legend
both
he
times
was,
as
though,
well.
wasn't he?
Rock solid. Bring him back.
Bring back Roman Abramovich. I hear they say.
Are we saying like Everton shouldn't get another points deduction? Forest probably should, unfortunately.
I think it's very unfair to give Everton a second FFP breach in the same season for last season when they just gave them a punishment for like 3 years ago this season as well. Surely just do it next season. Like, surely it should be
then,
one.
like, if they've broken the rules, they've broken the rules, isn't it?
Yeah, but the punishment they got should have been allocated last season, is what I mean. But they were trying to work out the process. Now they've got the process. They can't just start being like, well, we know the process now. 10 points, 10 points, 10 points to everyone.
Yeah, I know what you mean. If that is the case.
Like, they're just a victim of like bad timing on top of all the other problems of Everton. And I'm saying it's a Liverpool fan. I don't think it's right. I don't think they should go down like this.
Yeah,
question
it
for you
damages the
guys-
product as well, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, it's bad for the league. It's not good. Two points deductions in the same season is unheard of, you know. But I did
But
have
he could
a
do it.
quick hot take for you guys. With
Go
Nottingham
on.
Forest, let's say they go down. Who's going to get Gibbs White?
Spurs. It's got to be Spurs. He looks
seems
like
quite
Spurs.
Spurs-y, yeah. But then
What do
they've
you
got
mean he
Madison.
looks like Spurs?
Well, I was saying, like, he's not like a top player. Like Madison, you know? Madison's better, but it just feels like a good Spurs signing. Solid, English, room to improve. I can see
I'll
it.
tell you what, I would take him. He seems
take
like a
him
bit of
too.
a hothead, but
I'd take him,
he is
yeah.
good. He's a good player.
We'd all take him, but I feel like Spurs is the one.
He does seem quite Spursy. He does.
Or
Yeah.
United, you know, just disgusting United. Getting right in behind
Why would
Rasmus Højlund.
anyone want to play for United?
Yeah, literally.
Cash. They're like, how about 250k a week? And he'll be like, yes, where do I sign?
Yeah,
6 years gone then.
So,
Nah.
yeah.
Plenty of hugs,
could
though.
I could see Pep picking him up, you know. Pep just being like, oh, there we go. Do some
Yeah,
kind of
maybe,
magic
actually.
spell,
Little
and then he
project
becomes an amazing player.
Yeah.
Possibly. Pep will need to fill that homegrown quota, as per usual. But that'll be a new Calvin Phillips. So, yeah, you never know.
Has there
But
been
anyway,
any City transfer news this season? And this
Forget about City. We don't talk about City on this pod, Bell.
That's true.
Abolished.
Unless they lose, then front and centre, prime focus. But apart from that, fuck those guys. Anyway, I think that's the end of the pod. Timekeeping needs to be sharper. So thank you very much for listening, listener. And if you made it to the end, you are a good fan. And we'll be back next Monday with a lot more consistency and a different set of people. Isn't that exciting? So thank you for listening. Send us an email from the backseat, footballpodcast@gmail.com. Concise. We should change that. If you have questions you want us to answer, follow our socials, from the backseat, football podcast, blah, blah, blah. You get it. Okay. Thank you very much. Good night. Goodbye.